I still remember the first time I saw it happen, and to this day, it feels like something out of a movie. Picture this, a rooftop helipad in the middle of Chicago, late afternoon wind whipping hard enough to sting your eyes. The CEO of this massive corporation, Valerie Cross, was standing there with her assistant, both of them looking for a little entertainment after a long, brutal day of negotiations. And me, I was just the guy mopping up scuff marks on the concrete, invisible as ever. Valerie smirked, pointed a manicured finger at me, and said loud enough for the whole rooftop crew to hear, if you can fly this helicopter, I'll marry you." Everyone laughed, even her assistant egged it on. "Betty can't even find the ignition." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I just set my rag down, walked past her, and slipped into the pilot's seat. Their laughter started fading quick once they heard the engine spool up the rotor, whining higher and higher. My hands moved like they'd done it 1,000 times because they had. Then the machine lifted smooth as glass 20 feet straight, uphung there like it was pinned to the sky, and dipped the nose in a bow. Their jaws dropped. I landed softer than a feather, got out, picked up my spray bottle, and kept scrubbing. Valerie whispered, stunned, "Who are you?" And all I said was, "Just the janitor, ma'am." But I could tell right then, she wasn't going to let it go. That night, while I was fixing dinner for my little girl in our cramped 2-bedroom, Valerie was storming around her glass office downtown, digging through HR files, and she found nothing. That's because I'd made sure there was nothing to find. No military records, no pilot's license, no references. Just Owen Parker, janitor. That's all anyone needed to know. Still, she showed up at the company picnic a few days later, pretending it was a PR thing. I saw her watching me while I sat on a blanket with my daughter building a toy boat out of sticks. For a second, she almost looked human, until a drone buzzed overhead. That sound, it flipped a switch I didn't want flipped. My shoulders locked, my eyes tracked it, my body braced like I was back in a valley halfway across the world waiting for gunfire. And Valerie saw it. The mask slipped. She knew I wasn't some hobbyist janitor. I was something else entirely. By then, her world was crumbling. A $50 billion deal was slipping away. Her board was breathing down her neck, and she was running out of options. So that night, she cornered me in a conference room. No games, no small talk, just straight up. "I need you to fly me through a storm to a private island. It's the only way to save the deal. Do this for me, and I'll put every dime your daughter will ever need into a trust. Medical care, school, everything." I told her no. I told her I push a mop, nothing more. But when she said my daughter's name, when she laid bare the fear I carry every night, what if the next breath is the one that hitches my resolve cracked? So I set terms. My lawyer, my rules. 1 flight, 1 contract. When we land, it's over. She agreed. That midnight flight, I'll never forget. The sky was nothing but black clouds and lightning veins. Valerie strapped in beside me, trying to look composed. But when the helicopter dropped into an air pocket, she gasped and grabbed the harness like her life depended on it. Because it did. I steadied her with just 2 words. "Look at me." And when our eyes locked, something shifted. I wasn't just a janitor, wasn't just a ghost. I was the only lifeline she had. We made it. Landed on that windswept rock, walked into the cedar-scented cabin of an old man named Ito, the one man who could sway her Japanese partners. Valerie threw every number, every chart she had at him. He wasn't impressed. He said, "My friend values loyalty, not profits." Then his gaze turned to me. "You risked your life to bring her here. Do you trust her?" I should have stayed quiet. But I thought of my daughter. I thought of what trust really means when the plan falls apart. And I said, "When everything goes wrong, you don't trust the plan. You trust the person flying next to you." That broke him. He smiled, picked up the phone, and made the call that saved Valerie's company. But back home, the knives were already out. Her assistant, sharp-suited, perfect-smiling Leonard, had been sabotaging her all along. While she fought for the company's future, he was framing her as unstable, leaking flight details, pushing for an emergency board meeting to vote her out at 8 a.m. We had 3 hours to get back. No way the chopper could make it unless I flew into the very storm we'd just escaped. So I banked us straight into the chaos using the jet stream like a wild river. Valerie thought she was crazy chasing ghosts with a janitor. I told her, "It's not crazy to fight for something you care about." She asked me why I'd walked away from the life I clearly still carried in my bones. And I told her the truth, how my wife died on a mission. We did everything right, and it still wasn't enough. How the system I gave my life to couldn't protect the one person I couldn't lose. So I left. Took our daughter and vanished into obscurity because pushing a mop never left a hole in your chest. We landed with minutes to spare. Valerie walked into that boardroom alone, and as planned, she stalled, argued, shouted, accused Leonard of betrayal. While she played the bait, I slipped into the server room with her key card. I didn't crack his triple encrypted vault. I didn't need to. I forced the system to crash and watched him log in from his office to purge the evidence. And when he hit delete, I caught every keystroke, every command. Proof solid, undeniable. I walked into the boardroom in my worn leather jacket. No uniform, no pretense. Dropped the tablet on the table and hit play. The screen lit up with Leonard's login, the timestamp, the exact purge command. His face drained white. He shrieked, it was all fake, that I was a nobody janitor. But that's the thing. Nobody believes the man screaming in desperation when the truth is on the screen. The board voted him out. Security dragged him away. And for the first time, they looked at Valerie with respect. After that, I quit. Sent a short email, picked up my daughter, and disappeared again. Valerie saved her company, launched some fancy human potential division, turned herself into the kind of leader people whispered about with pride. But the halls felt empty without the squeak of my cart, and she knew it. She found me weeks later at a park, kneeling in the sand with my daughter. Offered me the job to run her new program. I told her I wasn't a manager, I was nobody. But my daughter tugged my sleeve and said, "Daddy, you fix things. You fixed the helicopter. You fixed the sad lady's company. You're good at fixing." Kids have a way of cutting through the noise, so I said yes. And months later, there we were back on that rooftop at Sunset, Valerie, my daughter and me. No suits, no masks. She looked at me with a smile and said, "You know, I think I still owe you something. I said if you could fly this helicopter, I'd marry you." I laughed for the first time in years, because somehow, against all odds, a stupid joke had turned into a promise neither of us could ignore. Now here's what I want to ask you. Was Valerie right to push me that far, using my daughter to corner me into flying? Or was it just another powerful person exploiting someone they thought was beneath them? And what about Leonard? Do you think snakes like him are the product of ambition or the product of a system that rewards backstabbing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. Because I know one thing for sure. Hidden talents are everywhere. Sometimes the janitor in the corner isn't just pushing a mop. He's carrying a story that could change everything. If this story hit you, if it made you think twice about judging by appearances, hit subscribe, because there are so many more truths waiting just below the surface.